Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond the Book with Julie. I am here today with Elizabeth Yang, and I am so excited to be talking to her about the 4 books she has in publication. Elizabeth, thank you for your time. You are a powerhouse. You run a law firm, you do corporate law, you do family law, and you manage to write 4 books in the midst of also raising a family. How do you do it?
Well, thank you so much for having me here, Julie. It's such an honor. I love sharing my story with, the audience, with my clients, with my friends. And I've been through a lot in my life, a lot of ups and downs. So I'm hoping to share my stories through these books so that folks don't make the same mistakes that I made in my life.
Right. And your 4 books are right behind me, if everyone can see them. Um, they are all such wealth of information for whatever the journey is that a woman is on, or even a man. Talk about the different books and which was the first?
Well, you actually have them in order from your left to right.
Okay.
So
So,
the first one, is
yeah,
where your
the
hand is, the
secret.
big secret. That one was published in 2017 with Jack Canfield, who is the author of all the Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that one is about how challenges in life are actually blessings in disguise, and to embrace challenges as they come because everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely. Everything does happen for a reason. And you have had a lot of life experiences that have really shaped you and built you and just helped you to become this really strong woman and a great example to your 2 young children. Talk about where you were in the journey of life when you wrote that book.
I'm an attorney, and when I first graduated from law school, I only practiced intellectual property law because my background's engineering and computer science. And then in 2010, I went through a divorce with my ex-husband. It took 4 years to resolve. And during those 4 years, it was really difficult and challenging. We went through any kind of battle you can think of in the court system, child custody, support, asset division, like everything. And my entire bedroom was full of my own court papers rather than my clients' legal documents. So
We're just
through this,
so overwhelmed with your own case.
yeah, it was so stressful and overwhelming.
Mhm.
So after a 4-year ordeal, I ended up expanding my practice into family law because I got so good at it. Like,
You read everything and learned everything.
yeah, firsthand knowledge. It's like, what better way to learn it than personally?
Right.
So, the big secret, talks about that and talks about how, after going through that ordeal, my ex-husband and I actually have a great relationship now, surprisingly. And so I use this knowledge and experience to tell my clients, I encourage them to settle their cases rather than litigate it, especially if they have children involved, because they're going to be tied at the hips for life. If they have children, they're going to be grandparents together, um, attend open houses, graduations, weddings together. So it's better to have a good relationship with them and not make it as nasty as I did.
Yeah. Wow. And so what else, when you wrote this book and as you came out of your divorce and things started to improve and you were seeing the light of day, so to speak, when you reflected back, what was the one thing that you felt grateful for?
Well, I'm really grateful I went through that experience, as difficult as it was, because if I didn't, number one, I wouldn't have a thriving family law practice, which in my firm, family law has exceeded intellectual property, by a lot. We're just so busy right now with, all of the divorces and the family law cases that we handle.
Oh, wow. And would you say you're especially busy right now because of COVID?
Yes, in this last year during the pandemic, I guess because couples have been quarantined together, they're getting sick of each other. And there's been more stresses this year than in the past, economic stress, financial stress, uncertainty, fears.
Kids always at home.
Kids always at home, like bugging their parents. They're trying to like juggle work and
And
family.
teaching their own kids on Zoom.
Yeah, and then like all of a sudden I have to deal with a nagging spouse, or someone who doesn't make them right. It's just we're getting calls like daytime, nighttime, like weekends, all times of the day where people are calling for legal advice on what to do if they want to file divorce.
Wow. So you've had a lot of experience, your own and working with so many clients. What would you say is, your one biggest piece of advice besides trying to mediate rather than litigate? Anything else that you can offer to couples who are embarking on divorce?
I would say putting themselves in the other person's shoes. A lot of times they're just thinking about what they want, what's going to make them happy. But if both parties are just each thinking about what they each own want, then they're never going to be able to resolve things, right? So it's my best advice is, even though you're not going to be with the other person anymore, still be considerate of their feelings, and put yourself in their shoes and try to come from their perspective. It would help a lot in building a relationship together in the future.
And as a woman, you write these books about women's empowerment and learning to be strong and lead. For a woman going through a divorce who, may feel isolated in ways, or, not financially savvy, just very deep in this, long time relationship and having kids and all of these things. What is your advice on, the woman becoming empowered, and how can she find her own voice and strength?
That's a great question. Actually, like that's like right up my alley, because I just published my newest book, the one on your right, Women in the Modern Business World, a blueprint on how to lead yourself to a better life. Your other, yeah, that one. Yes. So that one is specifically, for the modern women. And it talks about, it's actually got a compilation of different stories from different successful and professional women in the business world about how we were each able to find our passion and our place in the world. And, all of our different experiences, how I build my practice, how I build my team, all the challenges that come with hiring and relationships and marketing and getting clients, so lots of good info in that book.
Yeah, sounds like it. And everybody needs that book. I mean, whether you're going through divorce or not, every woman should and could be more empowered, right? And that's how we're raising our daughters to hopefully be strong women who believe that they can do whatever their dreams lead them to.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not an easy job being a mom, especially a mom of daughters, which we all, both have daughters.
Yes.
So we got to set a good example, to help them follow, in our footsteps, and hopefully we're leading them the right way.
Right, right. And juggling motherhood and work and family life and a marriage. Now you are remarried, right?
I am. Yes. I've been with my husband for, um, well, this year is 10 years now.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes.
Happy
And that's like another blessing in disguise, because before this whole 4-year divorce that I went through, I only dated bad boys. Like I was just attracted to bad boys, the worse, the more I like them.
And
And
I know that you also love self-help and motivational speakers, and we have a lot in common in that way. At what point did you realize that you needed to get away from this bad boy element, and how did you do it?
Well, I think it was during the divorce, and then like the reason we got divorced, because my ex-husband was like a big player, and I just found like the worst player of them all. And so like
So you
um
found the baddest of the bad.
I did, yes. The baddest of the bad, exactly. And
And
so
then
like
you were like, I've had enough of the bad.
well, it wasn't even like that point. Like when I met my husband, he's not like the typical bad boy that I'm used to dating. And so when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I turned him down. I told him like, you're not my type. I'm going to get bored of you after a few months,
Oh,
if
because
not
you thought
sooner.
he wasn't bad. You thought
Yeah,
he was too
he's
good.
not like exactly. He wasn't the typical guy would, usually date. So I told him like, I don't want to break your heart. You're a nice guy, like like let's
That
just
is
like hang
very
out, have
fascinating.
fun, and be friends. And he was like, you know what, just give me a chance, like I'm a big
I can
boy. Like
show you how to be a bad. I can show you what a bad boy is. Right.
right.
Careful what you wish for.
Exactly. So it went from like just giving him a chance to like 10 years later, So I think during that time I was looking for more stability, because with the divorce going on, with kids, with all this chaos, like having like at least a stable relationship was something I needed. But then I didn't realize how good it was for me, So I think if I didn't go through all this, I would not be grateful for my current husband and just appreciate him for everything he does.
So then at what point in the relationship did you realize like, oh, being a good boy isn't boring and I can do this?
Well, my ex-husband, my current husband, I call him bipolar because he's got two sides to him. He's got his nice guy side, and then he's also got his bad boy side. Like if he has a couple drinks in him, he like turns into a different person. Like he'll have personality and he'll know how to have fun. Like sober Phil will be like sitting at the table and like playing with his phone. Phil with a few drinks will be grabbing me and pulling me onto the dance floor and like twirling me and like doing dips. So I'm like, you're bipolar, honey.
So you get the best of both worlds.
I do. I do. I think he's the
The
perfect guy
guy
for me.
who's hardworking and the guy who has a few drinks and can let loose and have a lot of fun.
Exactly.
That's great. Talk about why in a relationship it's so important to have fun and to, be able to let loose, whether it's with drinks or without, and just have fun together.
Yeah, they say opposites attract, right? So opposites do attract, but then you got to have like similarities too. And so like, having fun is definitely important because without fun in a relationship, it's like, what do you do? Right? Life is too short not to have fun.
Well, and isn't the fun what helps you connect and brings you closer and helps you build the memories that are the experiences that sort of help you through the tough times or the boring times or just the
It
too
totally
much.
is. I agree. And like fun is like one of the big values in my life. So if I'm with someone who doesn't know how to have fun or doesn't have like the same type of fun as me, I don't think we would be able to last.
And so when you see so many clients going through divorce, what do you usually find as sort of the biggest thread of what causes divorce?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the couple grows apart after, even a few short years of marriage or like longer years of marriage. They end up like wanting different things and not being connected. So they don't realize that their partner isn't wanting the same thing they want anymore, that they become like two completely different people. And then by the time they realize it, it's like too late. Like if someone's path is just like digressing a little bit, you can still bring it together if you catch it soon enough. But then if you let it digress too far, by that time, it's like you can't bring it
They've
back, you
already
know?
grown in such different directions.
Exactly. They're just two different people, and they're probably each better off, like happier, separately.
And for kids, what do you, from, all the many divorces you've seen, a lot of people stay in marriages for the kids. Why do you think that is or isn't healthy?
Well, I don't think it's healthy for two people who are not compatible to stay in a marriage because even if they try to fake it, kids are really intuitive and kids are smart and they can feel it. And so if they grow up in a family and a household where the parents are faking it, like pretending they love each other when they really don't and they're so different, the kids are going to grow up and do the exact same thing with their relationship, right? They're going to like pick someone that they feel like their parents approve of or that society approves of when they're not really happy internally, but they'll stick it out because that's what their parents did.
And that's what they,
So,
right.
and that's not healthy. So we want to, set an example. Kids do what we do. They don't do what we say.
Yes, we are their examples. So this is why you and I have to work and juggle all the balls so that they know that's doable, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We got to just show them by our actions and, find your happiness. Like that's one of the most important lessons we can teach them.
That's right. So are you writing another book?
I am. Yes. My newest book that I'm almost done with is called Social Marriage. Okay, so my current husband and I, we're called husband and wife. We call each other that, but we're not legally married. Okay, so we live together, we raise kids together, we, pay for expenses together, we spend every day of our life together, but we never signed a legal license to get married.
Do you own your home together?
We do, yes. Yes, but we do have separate bank accounts. And we basically can pick and choose what we want to combine and what we don't. Because as a divorce lawyer, I know how community property laws work. Community property, even when the couple wants to separate everything, they can't because the law just combines everything together. It's like community property is the presumption in the state of California, which makes it really messy. And most couples who don't talk about finances, they don't understand the law when they get married, they come into this marriage and then all of a sudden it's like a mess. They're like, oh, wait, I didn't spend $50,000 on my credit card. Why am I responsible for that debt? Or like, if one party's the breadwinner, they're like, I made all this money. The other person just, didn't do anything and was lazy. Why is he or she entitled to all of my assets? So it's really messy in the divorce process. And after doing a lot of research, for my book, the concept of legal marriage came about back in the Middle Ages when women were not allowed to own property without being married to a man. Nowadays, you don't even have that anymore. Like women are independent. We can do pretty much everything a man can do. So there's really no reason to get legally married. Why are we still hanging on to this really old school concept when there's really more detriment than benefit to it?
And how does social marriage, how is it much cleaner and less messy if in fact you decide to go your separate ways?
Social marriage basically allows each person in the relationship to create whatever definition works for them. There's no default, right? It doesn't just default into whatever the law says, or whatever the community property says. They can basically pick and choose exactly how they want to define their relationship. So they can say like, this account is for both of us. And, if we split up, we're going to split this account 50-50, or we buy this house together. When we split up, we're going to sell the house and we're going to divide it in half. I'm going to buy this house and this will be my separate house. I'm going to have this separate account that I want to save for this. And this will be my separate account. Like everything's crystal clear. So when they split up,
So
yeah.
or do you have to like draft a document ahead of time?
No, it's just based on the agreements that, they talk about and they have a mutual understanding about. There does not need to be any legal document. So the attorneys stay out of it, which is like contradictory because I'm an attorney. It's like less work for me, less
Yeah,
clients for
less
me.
paying gigs.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'd rather the clients be better off, and not spend so much on attorney fees.
You have such a good heart to write these books, to share with other couples what you went through, how to lessen the blows of the hard times, and how to just maximize, right, in life and enjoy. And so your social marriage book sounds incredible. When is that due to be out?
I'm hoping it'll be out by Valentine's Day.
Perfect. Perfect. So
Yes.
for all those couples out there who are contemplating marriage, they can read your book and realize why social marriage might be the best practice for them. They'll just have to go and explain that to their parents, right?
Yeah, exactly. But parents, like, they don't even approve of a prenup, right? So I have to tell my clients, like, don't listen to the older generation. Nowadays, smart people sign prenups. Like my grandparents, they stuck together, like, not just mine, like a lot of grandparents, they stuck together no matter what. Even if they were unhappy, they stuck it out to the very end. Nowadays, like, the divorce rate is so high, people find their own happiness. They're like, this isn't working. Life is too short to stay in an unhappy relationship.
Yeah. And COVID is pushing so many of us, if not all of us, to really dig inward, right? And to find what lights ourselves up, and just to even the time to be with ourselves as opposed to sitting in traffic. We're hearing our own souls speak to us and realize what we need on this journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So good to be with you today, Elizabeth. Thank you for all of your insight. Excited for your book, Social Marriage, coming out Valentine's. We'll have to have a Zoom Valentine's party to talk about your book. That would be so much fun. A book party for social marriage. Maybe not on Valentine's, because it sounds like you'll be busy with your hubby or your, wait,
Yeah.
you call him your husband. You don't call him your social husband, right?
No, no, he's my husband.
That's great. So fun to be with you today. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
It was so nice to be here. Thank you, Julie.
Ah, hold on. I'm just going to stop the